Hey everyone, so I'd like to ask you a question. How do you really view rich people? So, what do you see when you see rich people? Do you see the fancy cars, the fancy houses, the traveling all over the world, maybe properties all over the world? And how do you feel about that? Do you judge them? Do you judge people? Do you think that people are greedy? Evil? Maybe they've had an easy life, they've been born into this. Well, for some people that might be true, and to be born into money like that, but it's not their fault, right? But there's a lot of people who are very, very successful in the world who quite often come from very disadvantaged backgrounds, and they haven't been lucky in finding the success that they've achieved. They've done it through a lot of hard work, but that comes from self-belief. The reason I'm shooting this is I spoke to someone else, it was yesterday, a couple of days ago, who was kind of moaning and complaining that they'd never really got anywhere in their life, and they'd seen someone online on YouTube, a guy who was about 22 years old. The person I was talking to was probably in his mid to late 30s. There's a guy who was 22 years old, and he'd made his first million by the time he was 18, and he got these online businesses, and he was incredibly successful. And this person I was talking to was judging him and saying, well, why has he done so well? How come people, are able to do that? And I'm here just scratching around, trying to make ends meet, jumping from one career to the next. And I had to say to this guy, time out. You need to check your language and your viewpoint here. Let's try and shift your mindset a little bit, because he told me the story about this kid on the internet, and he was saying how he'd overcome some obstacles in his life, and he'd generated this self-belief, and he'd worked really hard to achieve what he'd achieved. And I asked this guy that I was talking to, what have you actually really done to invest in yourself to give you the kind of mindset required to be that successful? And he had to say that he'd not really done anything at all. I mean, when you look at people who are very successful, and they're not just creating financial freedom, but also time freedom, because they're looking into doing things that are completely different from a normal way, shall we say, of working. They're looking to create businesses with where they have to use the minimal amount of time. Businesses where they're making money 24/7. They're making money when they're sleeping, and these usually fall into three categories. One is investment in property. Of course, you need quite a bit of capital to get started with that kind of passive income generating machine. There's stocks and shares, of course. Again, I think if you've got a lot of money to start out with, you can make very big gains, but of course there are some risks involved there, of course. And the third is, which this young guy who this person has seen on the internet, and many people like myself as included, are now starting to build, is online automated systems to generate income 24/7. But do you know what? As I said, to transition from a normal way of thinking and working, this daily 9-to-5 grind way of thinking, it requires a different mindset. It requires an open mind, and it requires you to step into something that's unknown. It's a fear, of the unknown, and to be pushing forward and being active in that space of the unknown, it does require you to have some self-belief. So what I'm saying to you here today is the biggest asset that you have is yourself. It's yourself. If you invest time and money into yourself to grow, to develop your self-belief and your skills to do something different, to go and have property investing, or invest in stocks and shares, or to start an online business, if you invest in yourself, then that is the key to being very, very successful financially. And that's what I've been doing, for the past 2 years. I spend all of my time and money, anything that I make in my business, I plow it back into training, into mentoring, into coaching, to make sure that I can be the best version of myself that I need to be successful. And success it's not just about money. It's what that affords you. It's time freedom. It's location freedom. I can work wherever I want to. I tend to work from home most of the time, but if I want to go somewhere, I can work from there. I can go to the other side of the world and work from there. And also for me, personal fulfillment. So for me, working now as a recovering alcoholic and addict, working in my community, charity work that I do, helping people with drug and alcohol addiction, and having the time to do that, which is afforded by my online business, working 24/7, that gives me a tremendous amount of personal fulfillment. So I encourage you, if you want to really radically change your life and do something different rather than the work that you're doing at the moment, then you need to invest in yourself. You're definitely worth it. Okay? Speak to you all soon. Bye now. Thank you.